So we continue our conversation with Dr. Denise Tsoiafatt Angus, and we are speaking with the political climate. Obviously, there's so much tension brewing between Venezuela. Of course, we touched on that with the radar. And we're now right smack in the middle of the political season. Obviously, they say the silly season, and that's what they relate to it. Before the break, we were in the middle.
We were
talking about the development.
Yes, and we're speaking about the development of the island, but in terms of the elections, right? So, of course, the election date is announced. What lessons the IDA would have learned from the last elections that you would have participated in, which would have been in 2021, leading into this new campaign? Well, I mean, just a few weeks, but still, I mean, naturally, over the years, you would have been strategizing, planning for this next election.
So, number one, just to let you know that the IDA launched as a party on August 21st, 2021. And by December, you had an election. That is what, within 4 months? Mm-hmm. So you really didn't have time to do anything. But given how persons believe and think, it was advised that we should put our foot in the waters. Get your foot in the waters, get some practice, understand how it is, and that's what we did. Okay, so we stepped out bravely, and we got ourselves feet wet. Mm-hmm. And what we have demonstrated to the people in the last 4 years is that, like some other parties that go in, we did not just evaporate, we did not disappear. We remain consistent, and over the past 3 years, we have been training many of the candidates who are there now. A lot of them have been in a training program for 3 years. Why? Because they need to understand the economy of Tobago, the fragility of the economy of Tobago, and to contribute to what plans, what programs would it take to turn around the economy of Tobago. Because in the last 4 years, there's been a consistent and continued decline of the economy. People are feeling the pinch. We cannot afford to continue going down that road, and more money from Trinidad is good, but it is not the answer. In fact, it could get us into a worse place if we don't understand how to stimulate the economy. And one of the, well, not one, the key driver of stimulating the economy has to come from the ground. We have always done it in the top-down approach, and we have seen where it has not gotten us anywhere. We have seen in other countries the ground-up approach is working, and that is what we have and will be implemented. But it took time to develop it. It took time to reorient our people, our candidates, to the fact that government must be facilitators and not doers that would compete with the people, with private sector. But it took 3 years from mindset change, because we are accustomed to, we go do this, we go do that, we go do the other. And we are saying is, we want to partner with communities so you can do. Mm-hmm. And that means creating community enterprise councils. Good. We initially looked at village councils, but village councils has a stipulation in there that they cannot get into any money-making ventures. And we want communities to make money. And part of that would be all of those micro malls that you're seeing in communities. Why is it that it's the THA that's collecting the rent? Why is that rent not going directly to communities? It's in their community, and that is another way they can make money. But we want them to be able to set up industries in their communities. So we will ask them to imagine. I want to go to Crown Point area, and I don't know if we would have to rethink that model now. That in the Crown Point, Bonaccord area, they can come up with an amazing wellness model. Everyone talks about the blue zones. I don't know if you saw the blue zone story on Netflix. And we have the capacity and ability to do that. Everybody says when you step off the plane in Tobago, the clean air hits you. And so we use those assets to create wellness tourism in the area. So you get people to come and stay longer than a weekend, and you have wellness tourism packages that you can promote to them, and you now have a selling point that draws people to come in. Those who are willing, interested in wellness tourism are those who are mature and have actually the resources to spend on packages like
All right.
medical tourism
Right.
is also
All right.
part
So
of
you
that.
outline a number of areas or sectors that can earn, and this is how you build an economy. I was just going through Facebook there, and the chief secretary has spoken to the population size, birth rate, and Dr. Denise Tsoiafatt Angus, we all know if you don't have people, you can't grow any
Yes.
economy or anything at all.
Yes.
That's an issue, and it's a real problem,
It
and
is.
nobody is really addressing, except when I heard him spoke to it last night. But let's come to how do you
Brother
intend
B.
to treat with this low
Brother
birth
B.
rate, small population size?
About 2.5 years ago, the IDA held a press conference and spoke to the birth rate issue. We asked that the secretary do an analysis of the cause of the birth rate. One of the major causes we are having in the birth rate is not just that people cannot afford, but also is the fertility issue. And I haven't heard any programs that they are putting forward to treat with the fertility issue. And that is one of the areas that we are going to be focusing on, the fertility issue, and how can we collaborate with maybe a place like Barbados, a country like Barbados that is known for fertility. In fact, many of the people here who can afford actually go to Barbados for fertility treatment so they can have children. But what about those who can't readily afford, but who would like to have? And so we will be putting a program in place where we have some, some sort of collaboration with the government there and ensure that, or we do have a fertility specialist who is from Tobago. So we would also have a partnership with her in terms of coming in. And this is also part of medical tourism. But yes, there's another part of affordability. Now, what we had devised is to have a program where we are giving we're opening an account, but we're not opening an account with insurances, because I keep telling you, we are focused on building communities. And so our accounts will be with credit unions in communities, because we want the credit unions to grow. We want them to have a communication connection with the people in their communities, because that is where the people would learn to trust their credit union. Don't go to a bank and always be turned down. You invest in your credit union. So we will have our partnership with the credit unions in communities for accounts to be opened up for any child under 18. It means that it's not just babies who are born. If the child is 7 years old now, we opening up the credit that account with the child, and it goes up until the child is 18 years
Very
old.
good.
At that time, the monies will be channeled into whether it is the land and building trust, so they can continue saving for housing and shelter, or through putting it into a business or the training.
Very good.
Additionally,
Stick a pin.
Oh,
Stick a
yes.
pin. You mentioned, that was the next question. People want to have families, but they have no place to live. You just mentioned it, housing and shelter, or shelter. We had a model that afforded Tobago the Pamela Nicholson model, quote unquote, the Switzerland concept that afforded people who would not be able to own land in Tobago. The price of land is really out of the reaches of ordinary people. And ordinary people are the ones who make their children. So let's bring that into perspective and to get from the idea, what is their vision in accommodating families in their homes that you could have your credit union and all that, but if they have no place to live, that would be a challenge. Let's speak to that and the vision going forward from the idea as to provide affordable housing.
That is where everything is connected that we say. Because if you're investing in the credit unions now, that they become the repository for the growth of the children in communities with these funds, the credit unions are now strengthened, that they can now go out and see about lands for the area that they can get prepared. These children who are coming up will now have affordable lands through their credit unions. It's all connected. You know, we're not just creating programs in isolation. So that is where we would like now the credit unions, you're getting all these funds from the children in communities. You now take that money and invest it in lands that are affordable for the young people who will soon become adults. In addition to that, we will be providing low-income starter homes because with the current programs and policies, you treat with middle-income professionals who can afford to buy into an adventure or, you know, the Bonaccord project. But we have not dealt with those who are coming out of URP and CPEP who, you know, have no way of starting out right now. So we intend to provide starter homes at that level to start giving people that feeling of ownership. Because remember, prosperity is our number one, and it's not prosperity for a few, but prosperity for all. So we will be dealing with that at that level, and because those people will now have the opportunity to be part of industries in their community or electoral district, they will now have jobs, better jobs than 10 days, 10 off, because they will be gainfully employed in those industries that would require them to have a little more skills, and therefore they can earn more money.
This is what I mean. You listed a few well. What would you say from the idea would be the priority projects if you are given the opportunity to serve?
The priority projects is to make sure that people could eat and feed themselves right now. We have a crisis. Yeah? That radar has been let into our space. We don't know from day to day what can happen to us. And, you know, whilst we call for the radar to be removed, yes, which the Chief Secretary should have called for that too, if he's really listening to the people of Tobago, rather than getting on a platform and having his people make a big joke and scandalize it by saying it's an early Christmas gift to the people down in Crown Point, Bonaccord. It shows me how disconnected they are from the people. If you understood the anxiety and the panic that is happening with people down there, you will not make that joke on a platform. So right now, we should be calling for food security, because if the airport somehow is damaged, if the port is being, boats can't really go and come, how are we feeding ourselves? We can't do anything else if we don't have food. And therefore food has to be part of, you know, what we do and how we organize ourselves, and introducing modern technology in terms of our agricultural practices.
And thank you for listing the priority projects if you are given the opportunity to serve. But you mentioned the radar yet again. Does this radar and by extension the US versus Venezuela tension thing having an impact on the election, and how much of an impact would it have? And I'm asking the obvious question.
Well, we don't know how much of an impact it may have on the election, okay? I understand that you have, I mean, let's look at it, and let's not hide from it. In other countries, you know, where foreign nationals have gone in, foreign persons have gone in and attempted to influence the elections. So we don't know. We have all these supposedly soldiers on the island. We don't know what is their role, what is their function, and how they're operating amongst the people, and therefore we don't know. But what we do know is that it has already affected the Tobago economy.
The economy?
It has already affected the Tobago economy because there's been a lot of cancellations to the guest houses and hoteliers. I understand a cruise ship was supposed to come in yesterday and it did not come. So it's affecting the taxi drivers, it's affecting the hoteliers, it's affecting the guest house owners. And when that whole tourism sector is affected, then you see the effect rolling out to different areas, because can they afford to keep on staff indefinitely with the low rates? Tourists are not going to come to a destination where there is a conversation about war. And whilst we are not having the conversation here, the conversation is on the international stage. The fact that because there's a question now whether they're moving towards impeachment, conversations because of the last set of survivors that were killed. Because of that, persons are speculating whether that may spark the war in order to distract from the impeachment discussions. So we don't know here. But what we have to do is start preparing for ourselves and seeing for ourselves. Of course, if something happens, before the election, I have no doubt that they will be very quick to say, well, leave the assembly in place until things run over. And the people will have to decide whether that is what we want to do.
Okay. All right. In closing, what would you want to say to, understand, give your Christmas greeting and your Christmas message, because I don't know if you'll be back before Christmas, so I'm giving you opportunity to send greetings.
So let me extend warm Christmas greetings to the people of Tobago, and to ask you that this Christmas you have some serious decisions to make with your family. This Christmas, it is not about blind loyalty that you need to have a decision of. As you sit down this Christmas, you ask yourself, are you truly able to put food on your table as you did last Christmas and the Christmases before? And I am sure that many of you cannot. And therefore that speaks to the performance of the assembly. Are you comfortable with that radar unit that has been set in Tobago that creates that Tobago could be a target? Are you happy with all that has been going on the island over the past year? The level of victimization, are you fearful of losing your jobs? Because as I said, CPEP and URP are going to be dismantled. And so I am sure you will come up with a reason for being dissatisfied. But let us not forget that the 21 years previously led you also into dissatisfaction. And I am pleased to let you all know that this time around you have an option. You have an option to choose from, an option to be led by the most experienced politician on the island as the leader of the IDA. An option where our candidates are the ones you chose from amongst yourselves to represent you. And so this Christmas, I want you to come out making that decision, not waiting to be bullied, bribed, or bought. They're going to bring a lot of money, but that money cannot be your decision, else we will be going down a worse pathway if we should allow that administration, those administration, to get back into power. Choose the IDA for a better life. Let us build an innovative and better future for all.
Excellent. We want to thank you for being here, and compliments of the season to you, and all the best in your endeavors going forward. Thank you.